The video on something I want to have a faff around with. So I had some pulled pork left over, and I formed it, shredded it down, and I formed it into a sausage. I wrapped it in, well, like a cylinder shape, wrapped it in foil while it was still warm, and then cooled it down in the fridge. So it's like a tight kind of like sausage. We'll see, you'll see, and I'm doing this, what I'm actually planning to do. Did it into a sausage, let it cool overnight, and then in the morning unwrapped it from the foil, sliced it and fried it. It was delicious. But I was kind of thinking, I'm quite interested in doing things on the cheap and using different things so we can have something similar but we can do it cheaper. So kind of pork is cheap, but we can buy cheaper meats. So this cooking bacon is about as cheap as it comes. It's a kilo and it's about £1.75 for a kilo. And if you go through the packs in the supermarket, you will find that some of them are almost like bacon chops. So like a gammon chop type of thing, like a gammon steak. If we'll just pull them out of the packaging first and then you will see. So you get some bits of sliced bacon like that. So that's like a couple of slices of bacon there, so you could fry that and use that. But then you also get like this, which is like a bacon pork chop type of thing. So which you kind of, it's cooking bacon. So but you could cook that and eat it, and it would be absolutely delicious. It's a little bit salty, so you kind of need to do things with it. So I'm going to do the pulled pork thingy, but with bacon instead, and I'm sure it'll work, and it'll be like a bit like a breakfast bacon patty by the time we're finished. I'm going to serve it on some pureed white beans. I haven't cooked those yet, so those are there, and I want to put an onion in with those beans. So I was kind of thinking how I could do it, and I was kind of thinking, oh well, and I also kind of wanted to get the flavour of the bacon into the beans as well. But if you cook the beans with salt, it wants to toughen up the beans, so you have to cook them in water. You can't cook them in like a salty stock. So I was kind of thinking, oh, well, what we could do is we can cook the onion in with the bacon at the same time, and it will take on the flavour of the bacon, and then that flavour of the onion will then go into those beans when we pure them down. But that's by the by. So break these apart a little bit, so it's into smaller bits. So not breaking it down, we're just pulling it into. See, there's another chop there. So you get like, out of that you get like two nice big like pork chops, so that'll be fine. So we just need to cover that in water and then simmer it for an hour and a half, something like that, just so it gets super tender, and then we'll be able to pull it to bits, and then we'll be able to reform it into a sausage, which seems like a bit of a, wash my hands in that water just to get rid of that slime off the bacon. So it seems like a bit of a faff, but most things I do are. So up to the boil, slow simmer for hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on how tender the bacon is. It's not cheap, although it's packaged as cheap bacon. It's not necessarily the cheap bacon, as in like poor quality. It's just the ends of. So if the slicing machine hasn't made a nice job of slicing some of the bacon, they'll just repackage that bacon. Instead of selling it in a premium packet, they'll sell it in the cheaper cooking bacon packet, and that's all it is. And when the joint of bacon gets down to the very end and the slicing machine can't slice this anymore, and it's left with a thick steak on the end, that steak goes into the cooking bacon. So it's not poor quality bacon, it's just unusable. They can't package it and sell it for a premium price. So anyway, so we need to simmer it in some water to draw out some of that excess salt, and then we can use that stock that we're cooking. Well, it will turn into a stock. The cooking liquor we can then use to make soups and cook vegetables and all that type of stuff. But anyway, going on far too long already. 4 minutes in, and it should have been like a 3-minute video. So the bacon is cooked. I'm just cooking things on the other part of the stove, so I'm just faffing around with the gas, which is probably another reason why my videos are too long. So right, so the bacon's cooked. It's nice and tender. I've just let it cool down to enough that I can touch it with my hands. Yeah. So if we were to, as soon as the bacon was cooked, if we were to pull it out of the cooking liquor, it'd dry up, like we'd get evaporation. from the meat, so it kind of dry up. So it's best off just to kind of allow things like this just to cool in the cooking liquor, and then it won't be gone, and then we don't lose any kind of excess moisture. So that onion is going to go in there, along as some of the stock as well. So all the stock, and then we'll use the pan as a kind of a bowl to mix it. Hopefully we'll kind of have a see. I'm trying not to make a mess of the chopping board. That's what I'm really trying to do. So it's a case of picking through it and pulling out the meat, and then we'll put some fat in, but not all of it, because there's quite a lot of fat, which is flavour, but we don't want too much of the fat. We want flavour, we just don't want it to be too kind of excessively greasy. But what we can do with that fat is we can fry it, and what it'll do is it'll render down, and we'll get some nice fat out of it, which we can then use in cooking. So I'm not worried about being too fastidious with the fat that we're pulling out. So I'll turn it in a container to put it in. Maybe the last something about. Let's see. So we need to just kind of go through. See, that's a little bit too. That should be alright, should that? Now we'll keep that to one side. So meat on the foil, and then fat out of there. I'll carry on doing that, but you've got the idea of what I'm doing. Right, so I picked through it, pulled out most of the fat. I want to be able to control the amount of fat that I put into it. So I've just pulled out the majority of the fat, and I've just chopped it up with the scissors, just to not make a mess of my chopping board. And I'm just going to shred this meat, and then we're going to combine. We'll see how much fat we put in it. I'm just not entirely sure yet. It's more of a, we'll do it out of feel. So there's some bits of fat there. So we didn't need to chop the fat, we could have just crushed it with our hands. So fat's going to give it flavour, and it's also going to give it moisture as well. So we don't want things to be too lean, otherwise there's no moisture in it. In lean things, you want like that bit of fat, but just pull it apart so it goes a bit like pulled pork. So we could use it. So we did it with pork shoulder, but we could do it with any soft, slow cooked meat. So could do it with beef, could do it with lamb, could do it with chicken thighs would be nice. Not chicken breast, chicken thighs, because it's got more flavour. So see what I've done with that, and then I've already put some pepper in it as well. So half that fat. Tempted to put it all in actually, because we are going to fry it once it's cold. Yeah, let's put all that fat in. I think that'll be fine, and it's still warm enough that it's going to cool, and yeah, we see it's soft. It's warm enough and soft enough that we'll be able to form it into the shape that we kind of want to do. So there's plenty here. I was worried that it was going to be slightly less. So we've used all the meat and we've used all the fat. Now some of those packets of bacon are going to have, some of it's going to be more fatty than others, so you just kind of need to be aware of that. So form it into a loose kind of log. So it wants to be square, imagine it that way. So it wants to be equal in the height of it and the width and the depth. So we're wanting to create a block. Now it's not going to be square in shape because we're going to roll it in this foil and it'll keep it all together. So I need to get rid of that. I don't want the outside of the foil to be too greasy. And then roll over like this, like that, and then we roll it into a cylinder, and then we're going to pinch in the edges. So we can feel where the meat is, and the meat's like there, so we can feel where the meat is, and then twist. So twist it one way, and twist it the other, like that, and then we'll just give it a bit of a shape, and that's gonna, when it sets. So my hands are a bit greasy. So when it sets, it will hold its shape, and because we've got that fat in there, so we squeeze it tighter, and then that'll just make it a little bit more dense, which is what we want. So there shouldn't be any gaps within the meat, so that should work. It should work, but maybe make it a little bit tighter. Can't do it too tight because we'll run the risk of juices wanting to pop out. So some of the juices want to pop out, which is not what we want. We just want it to be tight enough that it holds together. So I think that'll be about right. It's not perfect cylinder shape, but it'll do. So onto a plate in case it wants to leak, and then in the fridge for until it's cold all the way through, and then when it's cold all the way through, it will have set solid. So we'll give that a couple of hours in the fridge. Now, yeah, probably a couple of hours. I'm touching that like I know about temperature and things, but the more experienced you become with cooking, you kind of tend to know things, so you kind of go, oh, that's a little bit hotter than hand temperature, so a couple of hours in the fridge, that would probably be enough, but ideally 12 hours overnight type of thing. But we'll see what it's like in what time is it now? It's about 5 o'clock. I'm going swimming, so I'll be back for about 8:30. So it's going to get about 3.5 hours in the fridge, and we'll see what it's like then. Make this bean puree. So there is 500 grams worth of the cooked beans, and there is half that onion that I cooked in with the bacon. So I need to puree this. Is this going to be long enough? Hopefully. I'll have to do it here, I think. So we'll puree it down. I think there'll be enough liquid in the... Just worry about this lead knocking things over. So there should be enough liquid in the onion, because it was kind of quite wet, to make like quite a smooth puree, but we'll see. Just need, let's taste it, we'll use fingers. That's good. You need some salt, so a little bit of salt, and then some pepper. It just needs a little bit of the ham stock in it, just to loosen it slightly, so, or the bacon stock, so just, I lost my spoon in there, just a couple of, that should do it. There we go, that's good enough. Doesn't need to be any smoother than that. It's only for me. It's not as if we're selling it to anyone or serving it in a restaurant. So, and then we'll cut into this. Oh yeah, plastic things, we don't bang them on metal, it'll crack it. We bang them on our hand, and then that just gets all that in, out of there. And then we'll just give it a toast using fingers. That's lovely. That's lovely. So that'll stay warm for a bit in the back of the stove. And let's have a look at this. Now I was thinking, while I was swimming, that we could do these as burgers. So I'm not going to have them tonight, but I just went out and bought some cheap rolls from the supermarket while I was in there, and we'll fry them up, and we'll have like a burger for breakfast tomorrow. So the ends are a little bit uneven, so we'll just slice through there, and we'll slice through there, and then we'll have a look at how many portions we get. I reckon that's alright, isn't it? I was thinking about this as well, and it's almost like a ham hock terrine. So same type of principle. Oh, that's okay. That's come out okay. That's come out okay. So we'll have a look at, think about how many portions we're going to get out of this, and then it'll be like a super cheap bacon burger, won't it? So I reckon what, 8. We could squeeze more. So we probably could get 10. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's start again. Where's half? That's about half. Okay, so we probably could get 10. Yeah, we could get 10, but I'm gonna do 8. So we'll cook some more tomorrow morning for breakfast. I'm gonna do 2 of these now. So, and we're gonna serve it like the white bean puree, and then I've fried a bit of sourdough to kind of serve it on. So it's gonna be like a bit like beans on toast type of thing. It'll be very nice. So 2 of these. Yeah, 2 of these. I was gonna use going to use that one because it's just not quite as nice, but just careful when you're cutting through it. And then it should hold together, and then we'll fry it in the pan. Don't think we'll need to flour it. Maybe do one with flour one, maybe not. And if it falls apart, I'll just cook a bit more. So there's some fat in that pan, so you don't always have to put things in hot pans with hot oil. It'll be fine with that. So I'll cook that. We'll taste this actually. Now see what it tastes like. We'll use this bit that's in the end. But I was thinking if we do it as a burger, like a really cheap bacon burger. You know, like I think times are a bit tough at the moment, and I think if you can make nice food cheaper, I think, and treat people to a bit of nice food, like a different take on a burger or something like that. I think that's a nice idea. That's good. Tastes a bit like spam. It tastes a bit like spam. Do you know it does? It tastes a bit like spam. Anyway, I've inadvertently made spam. Right, I'll pause and we're back when that's fried. Right, that'll do. Now they're delicate, they want me to fall apart. As you can see, those bits just fell out. So, how's it on the other side? We need to take a picture. Oh, it's just crumbled it slightly. Not to worry. I need to take a picture. Let's give it a taste. I think it's going to be delicious. So I want a bit of each. Yeah, so it's kind of holding together, but it's delicate. It's delicate, you know. Maybe I should just try the burger by itself, but I've already tasted it cold, haven't I? That's so good. That's delicious. You know, that's absolutely delicious, is that? That's well worth doing, is that? I mean, you can have the argument, you can say, oh, it's a bit of faff too. Why don't you just cook the bacon, you know, and have it like as is? Why would you faff around with that? But it's not the same as a piece of bacon or a bacon chop. It's a different thing entirely. I suppose you could do it with. You could do it with a gammon joint. You could do exactly the same thing with a gammon joint. You could do it with with cooked ham as well. You could do exactly the same thing. You'd need some fat to hold it together, but you could do the same. But you could do it with any kind of meat. But that's particularly delicious, is that? That is lovely. I'm going to really enjoy that. Yeah, and then I'll do for breakfast tomorrow. I'll have a couple of those fried in a what am I call it, in a bread roll, and we'll see what they're like as burgers. But I think they'll be really nice as that as well. So success, and then we'll see what it's like in the morning. Right. So I fried a couple of bits. I've done. So that one is thicker because it was the one where I get 8 portions out of the sausage, and that's the 10 one. So how cheap do you want to make it? So I suppose with the price of the bun, that one comes out at about 27 pence. That one comes out about 32 pence. But I'll put some cheese on that one. So kind of like how, and I've just toasted the buns in. That's a bit of fat that came out of them. So that's a decent size, isn't it? Yeah. So I think we can get away with we're calling that a burger, and that's thick enough, isn't it, for a burger patty? That one's better because it's thicker, but it's got some cheese on it. But what's that? It's like a 27 pence burger. Is that? Yeah, you know, can we call it a burger? Like a 27 pence bacon burger? You know, we'll take a picture and then we'll give it a taste. It's going to be nice, isn't it? It's going to be nice. Yeah, so 26.5 pence. So let's call it 27 pence. 27 pence burger. Let's have a see. That's delicious. That's not bad for 27p. Then with additional cheese and a bit thicker. Well, even better. So, there we go. 27p burger. That's a success. Now I'm thinking about flour, egg and breadcrumb next.